Hey guys, so today I wanted to make a video to show you how to change the LCD screen on the Samsung Galaxy S7. So the first thing you want to do is power off your device, so go ahead and power that off. And the next thing you want to do is take a SIM eject tool and remove any SIM card or memory card in your phone. I'll include links in the video description for any tools that I'm going to be using today during this repair or any parts that I'm going to be replacing. Anything that I think might be helpful to you, I'll include a link in the video description below this video, so check it out there. So next what we're going to need to do is remove this back cover right here, this glass cover, and it's held down with really strong adhesive. So what we're going to need to do is use like a heat gun or a hair dryer. I'm going to use this hair dryer right here. So we're going to need to use that and heat up this edge all the way around to get the adhesive loose so we can get this back cover off. You need to almost heat this hotter than you think you should to get it off. So go ahead and heat this up. So now that we've got this heated up, what we're going to do is use a really thin pry tool like this. I'll link to this in the description where you can find it. And it's a really thin pry tool because this has really tight tolerances here. So what we're going to need to do is try to get in. I would recommend in the bottom right here, right above the charging port. So now what I found, if you get this guy started in here like this, what you can do is use like a guitar pick. And you can just slip in right in here beside it. And you can kind of roll around the corner like this. Now you want to make sure as you're going up through here you don't come in too far in the edges because there's a wireless charging pad is in here and different things. And you don't want to damage anything, so you want to just try to keep it about 1/4 inch or so is all you want to go in. So then you can bring one in this side right here, and at this point you can pull this guy out. Now if this is cooled off quite a bit already, then you want to go ahead and give it some more heat. Now that we've given it some more heat, what we can do is just keep working this pick up through here. Keep loosening that as you come. And we'll slide this one up through here. Get right around the top here. And if you give it heat like that, this really comes loose pretty nice like this. Now you can see this is starting to separate pretty good here on this side. If you just carefully pry up, it has some adhesive in here in the middle that hangs up a little bit. Now let's go ahead and remove our picks here. And you can see the last remaining adhesive on this side is pretty much letting loose. So the back cover comes off just like that. Next what you'll want to do is use a Phillips screwdriver size 000, and you're going to need to remove these 12 screws all the way around in here. The screws are all the same size, so you don't need to worry about mixing them up. Go ahead and remove those screws. Next you want to remove this yellow tape right here where your IMEI sticker normally is. Or if this comes up really easy, you can just peel off this whole part right here. Set it off to the side. If this video was helpful to you so far, I would appreciate if you would give it a like down below and subscribe to my channel. That would help me out a lot. Next we need to take this top one off first, then this middle one, then the bottom one, these little covers. So what I found here, I'm going to turn this upside down, and I found if you go in this little notch right here, you can pry this one up. You can continue in this corner right here. Just pry up really carefully so you don't damage the logic board. Then this one comes out. Then you can easily pry up on this one here, and that one comes out. So next we need to remove the motherboard here, the logic board. So what we're going to do is we're going to need to remove a lot of different connectors here. So let's go ahead and start over here. Just use something plastic like this, I would recommend. Or your fingernail, don't use anything metallic for this when you're prying on the board. And let's go ahead and remove this connector right here. Next let's do this connector right here. Next let's disconnect the battery right here. We could disconnect this connector. Disconnect this one and this one here. Then I'm going to use the tweezers for this, but just really carefully. You want to pop off this antenna wire right here, the white one, and the orange one. Get those off to the side. Now there's still a connector underneath here that is fastened on the motherboard, so what we're going to need to do is just pry carefully on this corner right here. Be very careful when you're prying up on this thing. Watch all the connectors so they slip past. Then once we got it up this far, pry off this connector right here. Then the whole logic board comes out just like that. Now to change the battery, this thing's really stuck in with some strong adhesive, so we're going to need to apply some heat on the front right here to get this battery out of here. So go ahead and apply some heat to the battery. Now normally I don't like to use anything metal around a battery, but in this case, to get down in here to be strong enough, the plastic ones just bend. So we're going to very carefully go down in here along the edge. There's a little bit of room. We're just going to rock this battery a little bit. I'm going to move down, rock it a little more, It's actually coming loose surprisingly easy. So now what I would recommend is use a plastic one when you can, and slip it under there and then pull that one out so when you have room. Now you can just kind of go back and forth a little bit, try to get some of that adhesive work loose. You can go sideways a little if you need to. Then when you get it loose enough, then this battery will pull loose like this. You can see some of the adhesive is coming off with the battery. Then the whole battery comes out just like that. So next, to change your whole LCD assembly, what I would recommend is getting one with a frame already included. So if you don't get one with a frame, what you're going to need to do with lots of heat and being very careful, you're going to need to separate this all the way around, pretty much the same way we did to get the back cover off. And you have to be careful so you don't damage the touch buttons and the home button and all that. And we need to separate this LCD from the frame here. What I would recommend, if you're not super confident in doing that, get one with the whole frame included. And it usually comes with the charging port and everything included as well, because the charging port is tied into the front touch buttons and the home button. So if you go with that route, the only thing that we're going to need to swap out if your new frame doesn't have it is we're going to need to swap out the flex cable for the power button. We're going to need to swap out the flex cable for the volume button. And we're going to need to swap out the earpiece speaker and the vibrator here and the headphone jack. And maybe these antenna wires if your new one doesn't have it. Now I'm going to link in the video description where you can find the LCD that you need, and it looks a lot like this. There's different ones you can choose from different sellers. Make sure that if you look in the listing of the description that it fits your model phone, because there's different models of these S7s. So like this one has the charging port and everything included. That's what you're looking for, is something like that. So what we need to do is use the Phillips screwdriver size 000 and remove this screw right here in the headphone jack. Then we need to pop off this connector right here for the headphone jack. One thing that I found works really well is if you can pry up right under this right here, underneath this part. You can just pry up and then the headphone jack comes right out. You may need to swap over this speaker gasket right here if your new screen doesn't have it. Then moving on up, you need to remove this earpiece speaker right here. You can just do so by prying under this corner right here, rocking it a little bit, and it pops right out. Then for the vibrator, we need to slip under this connector right here. It's just stuck down with adhesive. And you can slide under the whole vibrator and pry it right up. Next, for the power button, if you go right under this slot right here, you can just go under with something and this pries right up and it comes out. Remove that metal part as well. Next, for the volume buttons, if we go under this corner right here between these two metal pieces, you can pry this one right up, pull it out. There's the volume buttons. This metal part pops out too if you need to replace that. Now that should be everything that we need to remove, unless, like I said, if these cables here you need to remove, anything that your new screen doesn't have like that, you can swap over to your new screen. Now let's start putting things back. Let's grab the volume button part, and where it has a notch like this on this first metal part, turn the notch down on the ends. Set it down in there where it goes. Next we'll grab the actual flex cables and set them down in here. And go ahead and test the volume buttons, make sure they click nicely when you push them in. Next we're going to do the power button, and again turn where it's notched like this, turn that part down. Set that down in there. Grab the power button flex, make sure that the flex part is turned out. Make sure that that's pressed down all the way. Click the power button to make sure that it clicks. Next we'll grab the earpiece speaker and set it down in here. Press down gently. Next we'll grab the vibrator and set it down in here. Press it down and press the connector down. Next we'll grab the headphone jack and set it down in here. Keep it tipped up like this and set the front in and then push it down. And go ahead and put the screw back in. Now just to review, we transferred the headphone jack, the power button, flex cable, we transferred the volume buttons, transferred the earpiece speaker, the vibrator, and these antenna wires if necessary. Next you want to grab your battery, set that down in here. If the adhesive on the back was messed up a little bit, you can usually straighten it out and reuse it. If not, if you need new adhesive, I'll link to that where you can find it in the video description. It's just a double-sided adhesive. Next, to reinstall the logic board, the motherboard, what we're going to need to do is first of all, get this connector connected right here on the underneath like this. Then what you can do is slowly lay this down. I'm going to turn it this way so you can see. And now as we lay this down, we got to watch all these different connectors underneath here that want to stick up and catch and hold the motherboard from laying down properly. So we got to watch these antenna wires right here as we're setting this down. We got to watch the battery. Got to watch these connectors up here. These over here. Continue to watch the antenna wires. So yeah, just watch all these different connectors. If for some reason it doesn't feel like this thing's laying down properly, make sure there's no connectors hanging up anywhere. Now you want to watch the front camera as well. If the front camera gives a problem, what you can do is just carefully pry up on the connector right here then you can set the camera back down in where it goes and then reconnect it. Now that this motherboard is laying down the way it should go, let's start reconnecting connectors. Let's reconnect this one down here, reconnect this little one right here, reconnect this one right here. They should just all connect in with a soft little click. Reconnect these two here, right on top of the camera. Reconnect this one over here. We're going to save the battery for last. And let's go ahead and reconnect these antenna wires. These antenna wires are a little tricky to get reconnected sometimes. Just take your time, try to get them as square as you can when you're pressing down. Then when you're all done, reconnect the battery connector here. I'll just double check, make sure all your connections are good, and you're all set. Now next we want to put this one back in here. It just clicks into place. Next we want to connect this one. Just sits right there. You can see the screw holes line up. Next you just want to lay the top one in like that, and they should all snap down in. They snap a little hard sometimes. And go ahead and put all your 12 screws in all the way around. Next grab this part here, put it back down on here, stick it down. Next grab your back cover like this. And if you want, you can try to reuse the adhesive on it if it's okay. If it's not okay, you can get some new adhesive to put on it like this. I'll link to this in the video description where you can find it. But in my case, I was able to straighten it out and going to reuse it. So what you want to do is just grab your back cover, set it down on here like this. You can press it down all the way around, make sure that it is in the right place. And then what I would recommend is giving it a little bit of heat and just press it down firmly, make sure that it's going to stay. Then next, grab your SIM card and memory card and put them in there, and you're all set. Thanks for watching.